All right, so get this. Today's deep dive is about the dodo
Ah, yes.
and, that iconic symbol of extinction, right?
Right?
Well, uh, what if everything we think we know about how it went extinct is wrong?
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, like what if it was a cat?
A cat.
Yeah, a cat that made it go extinct, not, like humans.
Okay, well, how could a cat possibly make the dodo go extinct?
Well, that's what we're going to deep dive into today. The paper that we're looking at is called The Pirate Kitty Theory, How a House Cat Being Let Out Led to the Extinction of the Dodo Bird.
Okay.
And just so you know, the researchers couldn't get it published in Nature. So
Yeah.
maybe that tells you something.
Yeah, it might.
So to set the stage, we're talking about the 17th century,
Okay.
the golden age of piracy.
Mm-hmm.
And this paper sort of centers around this pirate captain,
Okay.
Captain Cooksley Poop Deck Johnson.
Poop Deck Johnson.
Yeah, great name, right?
And it's fantastic.
And his companion,
Okay.
a cat named Lord Whiskers.
Whiskers. I love it already.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So these researchers are basing their theory on this captain's personal diaries, which were, conveniently found
Right.
in an attic somewhere.
Of course, you always find the best stuff in attics.
And they're included as appendices to this paper.
Oh, wow.
And they're full of all these, colorful accounts of this captain's adventures, evading the Dutch, raiding ships.
Well, the pirate life.
Yeah, exactly, the pirate life. And, of course, where Poop Deck went, so did Lord Whiskers.
Of course. A pirate needs his cat.
So according to these diaries, the cat was a total killing machine
Really?
with an insatiable appetite for Dodo.
Oh, wow. A dodo-eating cat, who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, what are the odds?
Pretty slim, I'd say. But I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So these diaries, they paint a picture of this cat's, hunting skills. Like, supposedly this cat could take down, a dozen dodos per hour.
A dozen dodos an hour? That's a lot of dodo.
Right. That's, more than the crew could even eat.
Yeah, how many ways can you even cook a dodo, really?
I don't know, maybe they got tired of it. But the researchers, they even suggest that the crew mostly ate the dodos just because they didn't want to make the cat mad.
That's hilarious. They were afraid of becoming cat food themselves.
Yeah, basically. They had to keep Lord Whiskers happy with his dodo supply.
Oh, man, that's a great image. A pirate crew catering to a dodo-obsessed cat. This is gold.
Yeah, so anyway, there's this one anecdote in Appendix C about Lord Whiskers' first encounter with the dodos.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
Yeah, so apparently the cat, jumped ship and landed right in the middle of this flock of dodos.
No way.
Yeah, and the captain even uses the phrase bloodlust to describe the cat.
Bloodlust. That's a bit dramatic even for a pirate captain.
I know, right? Maybe he's just trying to make his cat sound more fearsome,
Probably embellishing a bit for his diary. My cat. The terror of the dodos.
Exactly. Okay, so before we get too carried away with this whole pirate kitty thing, let's remember what the traditional story is.
Right, the usual suspects.
Yeah, the traditional narrative is that it was humans that did the dodo and hunting and habitat destruction and all that.
The classic tale of human impact on the environment.
Right, and this paper doesn't completely ignore that, but it argues that compared to the impact of this one house cat, all that was nothing.
So they're saying that a single cat was more destructive than an entire wave of human colonization.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is where things start to get really interesting.
Mhm.
And maybe a little bit crazy.
Hold on tight. I have a feeling this is about to get wild. Welcome back, to part 2 of our deep dive.
Into this crazy theory.
Yeah, so let's dive into the actual science that they're using to try to back this thing up.
All right, so they start with the Lotka-Volterra equations.
Lotka-Volterra.
Which sounds really fancy.
It's fancy.
It's really just a way to model how predator and prey populations interact.
Right.
Over time.
Yeah. Classic model in ecology, it takes into account things like, birth and death rates. And you know how quickly the predator is eating the prey?
Yeah, in this case, Lord Whiskers or all those poor dodos.
Yeah.
So they basically took some estimates of the dodo population.
Okay.
Which, who even knows what that even was, right?
Yeah, it's not like they had a dodo census back then.
Right. So they're pulling these numbers out of thin air and then combine that with how fast they think Lord Whiskers was killing the dodos based on Poop Deck's diary entries.
Ah, yes. The infamous diary entries.
So Poop Deck, kept all these detailed accounts of how many dodos his cat caught.
Really? Like a dodo kill count? That's a little morbid, even for a pirate.
I know, right? Maybe he was just really proud of his cat.
Yeah, like a pirate dad bragging about his star athlete son.
Totally. My cat can catch more dodos than yours.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Pirate cat bragging rights. Okay, but so what happened when they plugged all this into the model?
Well, surprise, surprise. The model showed the dodos, like, totally crashing and burning.
No way. So the math checks out.
Well, not so fast. The problem is, those initial dodo population numbers are about as reliable as a pirate's promise, right? The researchers even admit they're just guessing. Yeah, that does throw a bit of a wrench in the works.
It's like trying to bake a cake with no recipe, just a vague idea of what ingredients you might need.
You might end up with something edible, but it probably won't be pretty.
Okay, so the Lotka Volterra thing is a bust. But what about the next method they used? The epic battle simulator.
Right, like the video game?
The one and only. I can't believe they actually used a video game in a scientific paper.
Okay, now that's just hilarious. They're simulating Dodo extinction with a video game. I gotta give them points for creativity.
Right. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, just maybe, there's some actual science hiding in this video game madness.
All right, I'm listening. What's their logic here?
So they're saying that Epic Battle Simulator is good at modeling what they call asymmetric warfare.
Asymmetric warfare.
Yeah, where you have like a small group of really powerful fighters.
Lord Whiskers. Yeah, like Lord Whiskers.
Yeah.
Going up against a huge group of weaker opponents.
The Dodo.
The Dodos, exactly.
So they're basically saying Lord Whiskers was like a one-cat army wreaking havoc on the Dodo population.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They basically recreated those epic dodo hunts from Pooptek's diaries in the game.
I can just imagine the scene. Virtual Lord Whiskers, claws out, tearing through a flock of pixelated dodos. It's like a dodo-themed arcade game from hell.
And, of course, Lord Whiskers always wins in these simulations, right? Which is supposed to prove their point, that the cat could have wiped out the dodos all on his own.
But hold on, didn't we talk about this before? Dodos weren't exactly known for their intelligence. I mean, as dumb as a dodo is a saying for a reason, right?
Totally. They were like the sitting ducks of the bird world. But even so, there's something they forgot to factor into their little video game experiment.
What's that?
Cat naps.
Oh, yeah. Even the most dedicated dodo hunter needs his beauty rest.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure Epic Battle Simulator doesn't have a cat nap function.
So they're basically assuming that Lord Whiskers was hunting 24/7, no breaks, no naps, just pure dodo carnage.
It's like saying a pirate ship can sail around the world in a day because you didn't factor in the time it takes to, actually sail the ship.
Good point. It totally skews the results. Okay, so the Lotka Volterra model is shaky. The video game simulation is flawed. What else do they have?
Well, buckle up, because they decided to throw in a third method, the Bandit Dodo Adversarial Network.
Oh, what now? You're losing me. What is that?
It's a GAN, a Generative Adversarial Network.
Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
It's a type of AI, artificial intelligence, that basically pits two neural networks against each other.
Neural networks, AI. This is getting way too complicated for a pirate cat story.
I know, right? But bear with me. So, one network tries to generate data that looks like the real thing, while the other network tries to spot the fakes.
So it's like a high-tech game of cat and mouse, but with algorithms, instead of actual cats and mice.
Yeah, kind of. And they basically trained this Jan on data from another study about this cat named Bandit, who apparently loved to kill birds.
Okay, so they're bringing in another cat into the mix. Is this like a feline conspiracy now?
Right. It's like they couldn't resist adding more cats to the equation. But here's the kicker. They also threw in whatever information they could get from Pooptek's diaries, which, let's be honest, probably wasn't very reliable.
So they're feeding this AI a mix of real data, questionable data, and pirate diary ramblings. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, as you might expect, their fancy AI model didn't really work.
Shocker.
They basically admit in the paper that they either messed up the interpretation or the model just didn't do what they thought it would do.
It sounds like a classic case of too many cooks spoil the broth. Or in this case, too many cats confuse the AI.
Exactly. They were so focused on using this cutting-edge technology that they forgot about the basics. Good data and sound methodology.
It's like trying to navigate by the stars when you don't even know which way is north.
All right, so we've got 3 strikes against the pirate kitty theory, the Lotka Volterra model, the epic battle simulator, and now this failed AI experiment. Case closed, right?
Well, not so fast. We still have one more piece of the puzzle to examine. The alleged evidence of mass dodo graves.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the pirate kitty theory.
Where we left off, we were talking about how their fancy models and simulations didn't really prove much.
Yeah, it was a lot of like, questionable math and video game shenanigans.
But they claim to have actual physical evidence to support their theory.
Oh yeah, the mass graves of Dodo skeletons,
Supposedly found near Captain Poopdeck's alleged buried treasure spots.
which as we know were a total bust.
As 7 empty chests. Can you imagine the disappointment?
Talk about a letdown. Okay, so what about these Dodo bones? Are they legit?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. The researchers make a big deal about the fact that these skeletons are intact.
Meaning like nobody ate them.
Exactly. Their argument is that if humans had hunted the dodos to extinction, the bones would show signs of, being butchered and cooked.
Right, like you'd expect to see cut marks, maybe some charring from being roasted over a fire.
Exactly. Where's the evidence of a good old-fashioned dodo feast?
Yeah, and where's the barbecue sauce?
I don't think barbecue sauce would last that long, but you get the idea.
Okay, so the researchers are saying that only a predator who kills for sport, like a cat, would leave the carcasses basically untouched.
Which, knowing cats, isn't that crazy of an idea.
Right. My cat does this all the time. She brings me these gifts, dead lizards, the occasional bird, once even a half-eaten mouse. Never eats them, it just leaves them on the doorstep like a little trophy.
Classic cat behavior. They're not always driven by hunger. Sometimes it's the thrill of the hunt that motivates them.
So maybe Lord Whiskers was just a really good hunter, and the dodos were, well, easy targets.
It's possible. But here's what I don't get. If they found all these dodo skeletons, why aren't there any pictures?
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd think they'd have some photographic evidence, right? Even a sketch on a napkin would be something.
Exactly. But the paper is completely silent on this. No pictures, no diagrams, nothing.
It's like they're asking us to take their word for it, which, given their track record so far, is a bit of a hard sell.
It's a shame, really. Because even if their methods are a bit out there, they do raise some interesting points about the dodo's vulnerability and the dangers of invasive species.
Right, like how even a seemingly harmless house cat can wreak havoc on an ecosystem if it's introduced to a place where it doesn't belong.
It's a reminder that we need to be careful about introducing species to new environments, whether intentionally or accidentally.
It's also a reminder that even scientists can get a little carried away with a good story.
They're not immune to the allure of a good yarn, especially one involving pirates and a killer cat.
I mean, who doesn't love a good pirate story? But good science requires more than just a compelling narrative.
It needs evidence, rigorous testing, and a healthy dose of skepticism.
We can't just accept something as true because it sounds fun or fits our preconceived notions. We have to critically evaluate the evidence, challenge the methods, and be willing to say, hey, wait a minute, does this really make sense?
Exactly. We need to be critical thinkers, not just passive consumers of information.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the pirate kitty theory, we leave you with this thought. Sometimes, the most outlandish ideas can spark fascinating questions and lead to unexpected insights.
Even if those ideas turn out to be, well, a bit of a catastrophe.
Oh, come on. You had to sneak one more pun in there, didn't you?
I couldn't resist. But on a serious note, the pirate kitty theory, while probably not true, does serve as a valuable reminder of the interconnectedness of all living things and the unintended consequences of our actions.
So, the next time you see your cat batting around a toy mouse, take a moment to appreciate its predatory prowess.
And maybe keep a closer eye on your bird feeder, just in case.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the world of pirates, dodos, and killer kitties. Until next time, happy deep diving.